Anthropology is about diversity, first and foremost. It is studying the diversity of the manifestations of the human phenomenon. But of course, in order to study it, you need to accept it. It's not about morality, it's not about deciding who's right and wrong. And of course, there's lots of gray zones, especially when it comes to politics, which is one of the human phenomenon, where, for example, you can abolish hate speech because you want to avoid having another Hitler. But it's different than hating a speech, right? So there's, of course, lots of gray zones. It's complex, but from a purely scientific perspective, it's obvious that we accept everybody, woke and MAGA. You know, they need to be studied, and they exist. Does it extend to the politics? Most probably, yes. I mean, if you want to really talk about democracy as being the voice of the people deciding, you need to let democracy, that is to say the people, evolve. You need to let them decide by themselves, basically. So it's not about putting yourself, from a superior moral standpoint, saying, I agree or disagree with, although you can, of course, agree or disagree with, but that does not mean that you censor it, right? So there's like an escalation, for example, we've seen it for many years in the USA, which is a very influential country in the history of the world, of humanity. So they should be considered as well in the equation. And we see it mostly, as I said, a woke versus MAGA type of thing. I think the key point with Charlie Kirk's murder is that everybody should be allowed to speak freely their mind. And you should not confuse hating a speech with hate speech. I'm not going to get into the analysis of what he said, but what I can say is that if there is an echo chamber in MAGA, if there are fake news in MAGA, if there are algorithms showing only one side of the truth to MAGA, the same can be said of the woke. Algorithms, echo chamber, fake news, they exist as well. We saw it with the recent news coverage of this murder, while a lot of people were arguing things that Charlie did not say, but amongst their echo chamber, it was repeated so much that they believed it to be true. So if you want to study human phenomenon, you need to be aware of your biases. I don't remember the name of the author in Anthropology that said the subtitle of the book is Anthropologist as an author. So basically it means that when we write from our perspective. When we analyze it from our perspective. So the illusion of a pure objectivity does not exist in pure sciences like physics. There's always an object looking at things, and we are within the universe. And when people say things like, you cannot argue with science, it's truth. No, that's not how science works, actually. Science is not dogma, and you need to argue with science. Actually, science is arguing. So you need to go in the gray zone. You need to look deeper. You need to understand what you're saying. So if it means that for a moment you'll go on a wrong road of hypothesis and trying to debate something that is total nonsense, do it, because you need to go walk the road, take experience, and grow your mind. Because anthropology is about diversity.